Welcome to Hawthorn University's All About Alumni series. This is where we have the opportunity to hear directly from our graduates. It's all about the exciting things they're doing professionally, what they've learned along the way. It includes their successes as well as learning curves, and it's all done to help inspire us. I'm Paula Bartholomew. I'm always delighted that you've joined me. This is the second show in our series. I'm going to be the moderator. Today we're going to meet with Katie Carter. Katie graduated from our Comprehensive Nutrition Consultant Training Program in 2012, and today we'll talk about what Katie's been doing since graduation, insights she's gleaned, and how she's growing her business. I asked Katie to present because she has such an inspiring story about health and decisions to go back to school, about opening a private practice. So Katie's going to share some of her challenges and successes from the NAMP board exam, from publishing her first article, website development, and networking in a small town. So we have some really wonderful things to share, and in order to focus our time together, Katie has a few slides and insights about weaving nutrition, yoga, and spirit in a small town tapestry. So hello, Katie, and welcome.
Hi, Paula. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this.
Oh, I'm really excited to be here together.
Oh, great.
You know, I usually do the introductions for presenters, but I thought it'd be really interesting for us to hear from our graduates to give your personal introduction, and so I want to give you that opportunity. You know, as nutrition professionals, we all need to introduce ourselves, both in social situations as well as professional settings. So let's hear how you weave your introduction for this setting.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Well, my name is Katie Carter, and I live in a small town in Northern California. I have 2 children, and I even have a new grandchild, so you can imagine that I'm in my 60s. When I was 56, I decided to go back to school, and I chose Hawthorn University, mainly because it was online, but I'd heard so many good things about it, and a good friend of mine also was enrolled in the program. I have a BA in Fine Arts from the University of Wisconsin, and I made the decision to get the degree, the certificate in nutrition consulting, and not get the master's because I hadn't been to school in over 40 years, and it was scary for me to think about taking tests and writing papers. So I did the nutrition consulting, and that was perfect for me. At the time, I owned a small business. A yoga center, a yoga studio. It wasn't actually that small. It had 20 teachers, and it was a big project for me. But I was just ready for something else in my life. And I see lots of private clients, and I'll tell you more about my challenges later, but I see all different ages of clients privately, and then I also teach a lot of classes. And I think I just love what I'm doing, so my enthusiasm really shines through. And like I said, I have the two sons. My husband and I live on 5 acres, and we built our own house, and we have a huge garden. So I'm very much involved in our community and trying to keep our own community sustainable.
It's so great when you weave in all of it. You know, the work that you're doing also is very reflective of the way you live your life. And so I think you bring a lot of integrity to your work.
Well, I try to, and I think that helps with going through menopause and the wisdom that we gain from menopause, and able to reflect back and feel like, yeah, we can live a life of integrity.
That sounds great. You know, you've talked about this entering another phase of your life, and that you feel wiser and that you're working smarter now. And I look forward to hearing your wisdom and the philosophy that really contributes to your integrity as a holistic practitioner, and some of the successes of your business. So I'd like you to begin with some of your personal background and start to weave your story here.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, so I mentioned that I had the degree in weaving from Wisconsin. It was a degree in fine arts, textiles, weaving. So people would always ask me, are you still weaving? And I say, well, I'm actually weaving all sorts of disciplines together in my life. And so that's where the weaving
James,
comes in.
did we just Katie, you just The sound just dropped out. So what you just said we
Uh-oh.
didn't hear. So if you could repeat
Oh,
that,
Oh,
I'd appreciate it.
okay. Can you hear me now?
yeah, we can hear you now. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so now you can hear me. I just said that um, I got my degree back in 1975 from the University of Wisconsin in textiles. It's a BFA in textiles. And people ask me now if I'm still weaving or I'm doing textiles. And I say, well, I'm not actually weaving right now, but I'm weaving all the different disciplines that I've been studying and together and in my everyday life. So yes, I'm always weaving. So just to get started here, I'm going to show you the picture of my little town. So this is a small town in Northern California. It's called Nevada City. We moved here in 1975. So I've lived here a long time. It's a small town, but we do a lot of really cool events. It's very culturally oriented and it's very much oriented to healthy eating and living sustainably as a community. So this is a picture of the farm to table dinner in downtown Nevada City, and I was a part of that in the very beginning. I helped get it off the ground, and it's continuing on to this day. And we got all the food from all the farmers, the local farmers, and we had different waitresses and everybody was volunteering. So it was really a great community event. So I live in a very, very rich community, I have to say. I'm very privileged. And then here's a picture of me when I had a weaving studio. So when I first moved to Nevada City, I opened up a weaving studio, and it was called Mountain Wool and Weaving Supply Company. And there's me with the dark hair, and then my partner, Martha. And we had that for, let's see, 4 years, and then we both had babies. I had a baby, and then she had a baby, and it was just too much. I couldn't do it, and it wasn't making that much money that it was worth it. So I sold that business, and I was a stay-at-home mom for about 14 years, and then I opened up another business. I have always done yoga, so I've been doing yoga since I was 19 when I started in college. And I wanted to share this, and I opened up a little studio, and then it expanded. So at first I was in the door on the right, and then we expanded into the room on the left. So I had 2 studios. They were 1,000 square feet each, and 20 teachers, and it was a wonderful ride, I call it. I loved it, but it was overwhelming, and I was ready to do something else. So I had that for 15 years, and then I went back to school. I enrolled in Hawthorn, and I was still teaching at the time I was enrolled in Hawthorn, but then that transition went through. And just giving you a little bit of my own personal background, I come from a family of pretty weak genes. There's a lot of autoimmune diseases. There's mental illness, a lot of bipolar and obsessive compulsive disorders in my family, and it was really scary. And so I knew early on that I really wanted to eat well. Both of my parents passed away from heart disease, and I just knew that I was going to do yoga and I was going to eat well, and I was not going to go down that route. Although I had never heard about the quote that I learned at Hawthorn of genes are not my destiny, they load the gun, but my lifestyle pulls the trigger. And that was so true about the way I've lived my life, because my family, my brothers and sisters, and my parents had a lot of illness and diseases. Well, one thing that really inspired me to go back to school at Hawthorn was my youngest son got an autoimmune disease that my brother and my mother have. It's called ankylosing spondylitis. It's very painful, inflammation of the spine, calcification of the spine. And my son had graduated from college, and he had a job, and he had all his benefits paid for, and he went to a rheumatologist, and they put him on a steroid drug. And 2 months into doing this steroid drug, which was Remicade, my son got tuberculosis. So his immune system was really compromised, and he got very sick. Mm-hmm. So long story short, we sent him to a nutritionist and a homeopath and an MD. They kind of took his case on, and he went on this incredible diet. He went on an elimination diet, and his inflammation has really, I mean, I have to say it's in remission, but it flares up when he goes off his diet or his lifestyle. So anyways, back to school at Hawthorn. I was 56 when I entered, and I was 60 when I graduated. And I know a lot of students out there probably think, oh, you know, how can I do my life along with going to school? But during the time I was in school, both of my parents passed away, and I live in California and they live in Florida, and I was back and forth. So it took me 3.5 years to do the nutrition consultant certificate, and I was fine with that because I was able to be with my parents. But at the end of all of that, I actually had adrenal fatigue when I finally sold the yoga studio, and I had the adrenal fatigue while I was in Hawthorn. So I was fortunate enough to be able to stay home a lot, and I wasn't teaching anymore, and I could just study and take care of myself. So if there are any questions there, Paula, or comments?
Yes, I think that it's a very motivating and very powerful story of what led you to Hawthorn's door. You know, and your son having this condition and having it cleared up, having the resources that you had available right there that he could see a nutritionist and a homeopath and get on a diet that would reduce the inflammation, that was so inspiring to you that said, I want to do that too. And you know, at 56 years old, I can appreciate the angst that might have brought up for you to, you know, return to school. But what a rewarding journey you've begun and is continuing because of it.
Oh, it's just the best. It's changed my life. I just love my life now. I love it. It isn't that I didn't love it before, but I've choreographed or, you know, designed my own life now, and it's just wonderful. So shall I go on?
Yes, I think it's ready to go to what's been happening in Katie Carter's world.
Oh, okay. Well, after I graduated, I was just ready because we have a lot of practice clients in those last I can't remember how many modules it is, but that we had the practice clients. But I'd had quite a few practice clients, and word was already getting out around town because remember, I'm from a small town. I was the owner of a yoga studio. I'm pretty well known in this small town, and word was getting out. And but I actually wasn't quite ready to really take on a lot of clients, but I did, as soon as I graduated, I found an office in downtown Nevada City. It was kind of my dream to have my own little private office in downtown Nevada City. And I designed a business card, or I had help designing a business card. So the top one on the left is the first card that I designed, and I did the pair, but I had an artist do the other part. And I liked it at first, but then I wanted to have more of a tagline, and I wasn't teaching yoga at the time. I actually decided I wanted to quit yoga for teaching for a while. So I changed it over here, the top right, to eat slowly, deliberately, and thankfully was the tagline. And this one actually printed up a lot better. The other one, where it was dark around the nutrition, yoga, lifestyle, sometimes people couldn't read that. And then I had a business card made out of the logo, and the bottom one is what the front of the business card is. So it's got the two pairs on it.
It's lovely.
And then on the back, the card flips over, and I'm sorry I didn't put a copy of the back on, but the card flips over, and it's got all my information. So my website, which is katiecarterwellness.com, the phone number, my cell number, and the address. So.
All right, so all your contact information is right there, and it's nice. One of the things that that I like about this is that it really sees you in your logo, your graphic. So I get a sense of you. Your information's on the back. Sometimes people put so much information on a card, it's so crowded that it's so little you can't even see. So I like this.
Right. Right. Yeah. You pay a little extra to have it two-sided, but it's totally worth it. The other side is all green with white lettering.
And I like
Okay.
that you put up such a positive message. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
people get a sense of you right off from
They
that.
do. Yeah. They do. They go, oh wow, yeah, I should do that. Yeah, I need
And
this.
thankfully, it's a good message. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
And what I hand out a lot of business cards, but this next slide is the card of my brochure, and it's a two-sided, and it fits in one of those displays, with like you can put a three-fold thing in, but this one is just double-sided. It's on a harder paper, and we had to do something like this when we were in the business course. I had to make one, and I kept it kind of similar, but yet I've changed it. And as soon as these are finished, I run out of these. I think I ordered 500 or 1,000 of them. I can't remember, but I will just update it a little bit. But I hand out a lot of these, and I have these in a little display case right outside my front door, and I have to refill that a lot. So a lot of people are walking by and they take this.
It's good to know because, in this online era that we're in, everything's so digital, people are so website oriented, we're moving away from brochures. And some people say, oh, brochures aren't even effective, but I don't know if that's our age group, but I pick up brochures, I see brochures, and you have people walking by your door and your brochure box is empty. And so it's a good sign that people want this information. Do you find, you say you hand out your brochures and your cards, what kind of response do you get from people when they see it initially, and do you get good follow-up from it?
I'll say, do you want a card or do you want the brochure? And they want the brochure because they want to read about me. They don't have to go online.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is I take this brochure to doctors' offices because I did create an introduction letter about myself, but the reality is they want this. They want to see this picture, especially if I can meet. I don't usually meet the doctor, but I meet the office manager and I introduce myself and I tell them and they go, oh yeah, we want those brochures.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, kind of now I've been in business, almost 4 years. So the word of mouth, and they go, oh, I've heard of you, that kind of thing. So I think the brochure is invaluable, and I'll make another one when I've run out of this one.
It's a really good thing to hear. Oh, I've heard
Oh,
about you.
yeah. Oh, I know. I love that.
And it takes getting out of the box. You have got to say, this is who I am and what I do for people to be able to say, oh, I've heard about you.
Right. Oh no, that's great. And I don't know if you can read on the one on the right-hand side. I say my specialty is helping busy, active women balance their hormones and understand that food is medicine. Can you read that, or is it kind of blurry on
No,
the?
it's good, but I'm glad that you said
Okay.
it because it is
But
small on screen.
so that's what I want to change is that I don't just work with women, and uh, and I did, and I was working with menopausal women or people going through hormonal changes. But the reality is, because of my age, I really attract women, postmenopausal women, and they don't say, well, I'm done with menopause, but I've got all these other issues. I've got heart problems, or I've got diabetes issues, or things like that. So I'm going to rewrite that. And kind of word around town now is that I do work, and I work a lot with their husbands and their children and their grandchildren. So I haven't just limited. I know I wanted to specialize, and I think what my specialty is weaving in the nutrition, and now back to the yoga. Yoga's come back in. I'll talk about that in a minute, and spirit. So I do bring a lot of spirit into the counseling. So I'm going to come to the next slide here and just talk about some of the challenges that I have had. When I first graduated and started making protocols, I just felt like I always wanted to know the why behind everything, and I just assumed everyone else wanted to know the why behind it. And I tended to make my protocols too long and they were overwhelming. And then I thought, well, I want to give them as much as I can, but the reality is that when you work with them over a period of 4 sessions or 6 sessions or 8 sessions, you just give them a little bit at a time. And I don't know why that took me so long to understand. I had a couple of people go, oh, this is overwhelming, or I'd want to send them a bunch of recipes right away, and they're like, oh my God, I don't even like to cook. So I'm really clear. When I meet them, I kind of feel them out and see what they're ready for. Some people are really advanced and they've been doing a lot of nutrition homework and about themselves, but a lot of people, this is all new to them. So yeah, you really just start with just a few changes.
It's a really good point, and you talked about how enthusiastic you are in the beginning, and your wisdom, and this is a situation where enthusiasm gets tempered, so that you can really meet the client and what their needs are and what they're asking for, and respond appropriately to really serve them and not overwhelm them.
Exactly, and yeah, and I always. I'm sure that the students are going through, learning about the 5R, or is it 4R protocol or the 5R protocol? I used to do 5R with the last one would be rebalance your life. Right. But I always add in that in phase 1 of my protocols, I always add one lifestyle thing, whether it's just, eat more slowly, chew your food, sit down to eat, take some deep breaths before you eat, but something like that. So, I'm not just addressing nutrition.
Sure.
I mentioned that at first I specialized in working with women going through the menopause transition, and I soon learned that, people would a man would call me and go, well, do you work with men? I go, well, that's not my specialty, but sure, I can help you. And I'll say 95% of the clients that I work with individually or that come to my classes want to lose weight. Oh, by the way, and I want to lose weight too. So I can definitely help with that. So at first I didn't think I was going to, specialize in weight loss, because I have not had a weight problem throughout my life. And so I thought, how can I teach weight loss if I've never had a weight problem? But anyways, I work with a lot more people now. Another thing, sorry, did you want to say something?
No, I think it's interesting. It's like you come out, your focus is a certain age of women and dressing them hormonally, and how that's morphed into kind of whole family practice.
Right.
It's like people hear something that you've been successful at, they hear a good testimonial from somebody, and they're like, you lost weight, or you got your hormones balanced, or you helped your husband too, and then you brought your kids and their allergies got handled, and it's so fantastic that you aren't limited to that. And in your area, people know that you have a broader perspective and an approach to than just a single niche.
Right. Another challenge, I did stop teaching yoga for 4 years, and people kept asking me. Anyways, I started teaching again, not at a yoga studio. I moved my office in with some other professionals who do, it's a fitness studio. It's a personal training fitness studio. And I started teaching yoga here at my studio, where I'm working now. And my classes have a waiting list, and I'm so thrilled. And again, I get to infuse a little bit of nutrition in there, and I'm very fulfilled teaching yoga again. So that was a good move to come back to it.
I'm glad to hear that you are. It's one of my my highlight yoga experiences is with you. So thank you. And I'm just being mindful of time here.
I know. That's what I want to. Okay, so. And then another challenge I had was I thought I was going to teach cooking classes at a cooking school, and that was just too much work and not enough return. Let's go through some of the successes. I was so thrilled right after I graduated. I took the NANP board exam, and I passed it. I was just so thrilled and more confident. When I started my business, I we have a local radio station, and I know some of the DJs, and I was asked to come on and talk about my business. And I had you know, not a weekly show, but I would talk with another nutritionist. We talk about nutrition. I've been a presenter at A Day for Women here for the last 3 years, and I'm going to do it again in April, and this is by Seroptimus International. That's a great way for me to get new clients. I also have a newsletter or a blog, I'm not sure what I call it, and a website. And there's my website listed right there, katiecarterwellness.com. What I've learned in the blog is I always include a recipe, whether it's just something simple or it might even be a recipe for a yoga pose. So lots of different little tips that I like to share.
Wonderful, the giveaways.
I also
and I think it's interesting that you led here with, you know, you took the board exam, and each one of these opportunities that you've had since, you get to be introduced or introduce yourself as certified nutrition consultant and board certified in holistic nutrition. So very strong.
Yes. I was fortunate to get my cover on the picture of a local health magazine. This was right when my business opened, so this was very fortunate. And I also have an article in there, and that I wrote. It's on my website, and that helped my business get going. I finally moved in. I changed my business. I was in a private office, then I moved in with this group of women, and I'm just loving it. I love having the camaraderie and the community. Some other successes is I've been a nutrition speaker at a weekend yoga retreat. I also network with many other healthcare professionals, and in September 2014, I started teaching yoga again, and I just say that really accelerated my business, and I felt very fulfilled. I teach. I used to teach monthly workshops combining yoga and nutrition. Now the workshops that I teach 4 10-day detoxes a year, and I do a weight loss class usually after the new year.
Great.
I also, in the summer, I teach 2 kimchi and sauerkraut making classes at my home, and I'm going to continue doing that. It's just nice to do it at home, and people love being in the environment of the mountains, the foothills.
I bet, and it looks like they all get to go home with a jar of kimchi and kraut that they made too.
Right, yeah. Everybody gets to go home, and that's what's really fun, yeah.
So you wouldn't do cooking classes, but here you are.
Right. Well, I don't have to pay rent. It's just more fun, and people keep asking me to do that, so I think, okay, I'll do that. You know, it's very relaxing. Another thing, in January 2015, I enrolled in Food and Spirit Practitioner certification program with Dr. Deanna Minnick, and I know she's been a guest on your webinars, and this was another life-changing experience, and I'm so glad I had the my certificate from Hawthorn, because it just, you know, I understand so much more. There's a lot of people in this program that don't have a nutrition background, so I know that they're really struggling, but I really bring this into my clients and into my teaching. It's really just to, in a nutshell, just to summarize it, it's that food is really just one piece of the nutrition pie. It's a very, very important piece. It's the foundation. We know that it's the foundation of our health, but there's a lot of other things that really nourish us. And so we look at the 7 different aspects of all the different things that nourish us. And anyways, I'm sure Dr. Deanna has talked about her program on your.
No, we had a good webinar last night on whole detox. So
yeah.
The webinar was recorded, and it'll be up on our website in just a few days. So it's worth checking out. It's very in line with what our students are learning at Hawthorn, and it's a good combination. So.
If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching that webinar, because she's incredible. All right, and then finally, just I have a weekly nutrition lifestyle tip on the local radio station, and here I have the 10-day whole food detox, and my private client schedule continues to increase, which is thrilling.
And I want you to continue in the other areas here and just let people know that we're going to have we're going to open up for questions here in just
Okay.
a couple of minutes. And
Yeah, this
so
is just
you
about the
can
last.
just go ahead and start posting your
Okay.
questions to the webinar panel now, and I'll present them to Katie in a little bit.
Okay. Just areas that I'm going to look to the future to improve is I want to have better quality photographs on my website and pictures of the food. I also want to have supplement access on my website. I'd like to learn how to do live webinars like we're doing right now. And I obviously want to continue learning and growing with different continuing education units. I'm just about finished writing an ebook for my detox, and mine is my own personalized signature detox, and I'm excited to get that finished. And I'd also like at some point to collaborate with other healthcare professionals to host a weekend health retreat. I'm a good organizer in our community, so that's something I'd like to do.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and that's my logo, and there's my website, and I'm ready for questions.
All
If
right.
anybody has any, or
Sure. I have some on this last slide before here is
okay, you want me to come back?
is like learning to put on live webinars. You've made headway on that already. Is here you are on your first webinar.
I know.
Congratulations. Right?
Yeah, thank you. But I know we've got James to do the technical work, so I want to learn it.
Sure, but you put it together and you're on. You have your slides. Terrific. For your ebook, what's the name of your ebook?
It's called Full Spectrum 10-Day Detox.
Mm-hmm. And how long is it?
Well, I don't know how many pages it is right yet. I'm writing all the chapters, and I haven't edited and going back, and there's going to be recipes in it. I'd like to not have it be too long, but long enough just so I can get my message across.
All right. Well, I want you to get me a copy as soon as it's done, and if with your permission, we'll post it so our other graduates can see what you've produced.
Okay.
What you're in process with, and bringing it out to culmination. So, I love it.
Okay.
And tell me just a little bit about the health retreat that you want to do with other professionals.
Well, we have a really cool retreat center up here in the foothills, and that's where I did the talk at the yoga retreat. And there's great housing there, and I would like to do something. I mean, I guess my envision is doing something on what I call circadian medicine. Living with the seasons and having nutrition, some holistic doctors. We have the College of Ayurveda here. I know a lot of Ayurveda practitioners. I'd like to have some of the young people. We have a lot of young farmers in our community, and just kind of weave it together. I call it circadian medicine. That would be, healing with the seasons, and that's where the farming could come in and growing, certain foods. And we have so many herbalists here too. So I can just envision, different speakers and of course, some yoga and great food, and just, hanging out with like-minded people.
Well, it sounds fantastic. Please invite us all.
Okay. Oh, I'll definitely will. Yeah. I'm trying to kind of wait until I'm putting it out there to a couple of different professional people and seeing who's gonna, because I don't want to do it on my own. I was going to show a picture of my new grandbaby, but I just had a grandbaby on January 2nd, and I can see that this is another priority for me. So I'm going to keep doing my business, but they live about an hour and 15 minutes away, so I've been going down once a week, and so there's a day out of my life now that I'm not doing business, and but I'm weaving it in.
You're weaving it in, and we'll see what how that emerges too. Now you've got babies that you're attending, and I bet that'll get some of your nutrition attention. So some other questions here. Anita, thank you for being here. She asks, how did you decide on the name for your practice and for your website?
Well, let's see. I knew that I wanted to have Katie Carter in the name, and it could be Katie Carter Nutrition, but I've had a couple other businesses. So I had, Wild Mountain Yoga Studio, or no, Wild Mountain Yoga Center it was called, and then I had Mountain Woolen Weaving Supply Company. So I knew that I wanted my own name in it, and I didn't want just Katie Carter. I kept kind of playing with it, Katie Carter Nutrition, Katie Carter this, and then when I said Katie Carter Wellness, it just had a nice rhythm to it. Was there another question there? The name of my business, is that all she said?
Yes,
Okay.
the Practitioner website, yes.
But I think having your name in the in the name of your business is great. People don't have to, instead of saying holistic nutrition, they know that, oh, it's Katie Carter. Let's look under Katie Carter.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I have kind of a name that's kind of memorable.
And a face. And a bubbly personality.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Sure. Did it take a long time to get a viable income stream, or was your small town hungry for your flavor of wellness?
Well, I have to say that, because I've lived here so long, that was really an advantage for me. And my husband is now semi-retired. I wouldn't say that I make, I could totally support myself with what I'm making, but I'm certainly doing better than I thought I would do. And I was telling you earlier that each week I get probably 3 calls of new clients each week, and that's very exciting. In the beginning it would be like one new one here and then another one, but you follow up with them. So I'm busy a lot during the week because I'm doing follow up with the other clients.
Right.
So yeah.
And this is all been generated from Nevada City.
Pretty much Nevada City. I've done a few Skype and a few phone, and I've worked with someone in New York, and I've worked with someone in Mexico, and I do a few. I'm not really working over the internet. I think I've got enough on my plate, and then teaching the yoga. I also, which I didn't mention, I also teach 2 weekly private yoga classes a week. So like Tuesday is just my yoga day. So I teach a group class, and then I teach private in the morning. Always 2. I have 2 consistent ones, but if I have anybody else that wants to do a private, I do them on Tuesdays. So that's another nice source of income.
I think it's I appreciate you're setting personal boundaries for your work and recognizing how much you want to work, what you want to put your energy into, and all the while taking good care of yourself. You started the story with family history of health issues, and your decision to start school and wanting to commit to taking good care of yourself, so that you had good health through your life and your children too.
No,
I think setting personal boundaries and not taking on everything is good, and recognizing this is how much income that I want to be able to generate, be able to hit your mark, and do the work that is really inspiring and meaningful to you.
Right, and that's right there what you just said. And I really know what stress feels like, and when I'm feeling a little overwhelmed or a little stressed, I just really take that time, address it in my meditation or whatever other practice I do to really check in with myself. But yeah, I know when I'm doing too much, and I really set boundaries, just like you said.
You also talk about having a continued one-on-one client relationship, but you're doing a lot of classes too, so you generate one-on-one clientele from your classes, but you just have so much more, you reach so many more people in a group. Can you talk just a little bit about what that experience and difference is like?
Yeah, I'll tell you something about the detox too. The detox, I call it a 10-day detox, but actually I'm kind of tricking them, because I really want them to at least do it for 3 weeks. But if you can hook them for 10 days, they usually start to feel better after 10 days. And at the end, we talk about, when are you going to reintroduce some of these foods? Are you ever going to reintroduce them? And a lot of people are feeling so much better that like, no. And I said, well, let's at least keep them out for 3 weeks. That's kind of my gold standard of keeping out some of these inflammatory foods. But things like sugar, we're going to keep it out 95% of the time, and just it's for special occasions. And I just was doing 2 a year, but then I realized that I had such good results with the detox, and it's an affordable way too for people to work with me. They don't have to, spend the money to work privately with me. They can take the detox workshop, and I usually have around 20, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, but that's a good number. I'm pleased with that.
It's a good number. Bigger than that is you start needing assistance to help you.
Yeah,
Which isn't a bad thing.
I do have an assist. I do have somebody that helps me do some stuff too. Yeah, especially in my yoga classes, or if I did a yoga workshop, I have a helper. Yeah.
You said that you wanted to talk a little bit about. You say this is an affordable way for clients to see you. You've also talked a little bit about rates and what you've learned about what your fees are.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to share anything about that? And
yeah.
you don't have to say exactly what you're charging, but just how you have evolved into what your rates are now.
Right. Well, there's a lot of times people will say, "Oh, I just want to see you one time," and I used to charge $75 an hour for a one-time visit, and that would, $75 an hour, and then, usually a little bit of pad an hour, and an hour and 15 minutes, I'd go and I'd charge them 75. But, there's a lot of other invisible work that you do. So I raised that. You can look on my website at my prices if you're interested, or my fees. But I raised that I don't encourage a one-time visit. It takes time to make dietary changes. And I'd much rather work with people with a series of visits. And so I really try to, encourage them to do that and then pay me in installments if they can't afford it.
Do you have a package price?
Yes, and I also have PayPal on my website too, and I did that right away, so people can, pay for a workshop, they can say, I want to work with her privately. I'm going to do, the package of 5 sessions, or I'm going to do. I do have a 2-session package too.
As we close up, Katie, do you want to show your website?
Oh, sure. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Are we on?
Yes,
Is that on?
you have. Yes, I see you.
Okay. So here's my website, and just to scroll down a little bit, there's the cover of the magazine and the article that I wrote called "Are You Falling Asleep at the Plate?" And then just my recent blog, and then my latest recipe. So, and then this is just
bringing in. Oh, good. I'm going to see your bar across the top and what people get to see right away. Nice pictures.
Yeah.
I really like. You talked about bringing in other pictures of your website, but you always. I mean, you're very photogenic, and that helps a lot. But your graphics, your colors. I think it's well done.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I had help with that. I hired. There's certain expenses that I paid somebody to do that. But maybe I can share this, is that I had a guy helping me at first, and then I found out this woman that was doing websites, and I switched over to her, and she and I just connected right away. And she was more my age, and she talked slower, and I could just understand her. And I make all the changes on my website myself.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts, Katie?
I just, want to encourage everybody to hang in there and start thinking about, how are they going to introduce themselves to the community. I know I was thinking about that. What did I want to do? And I couldn't wait to say I'm certified. Because I was very excited when I graduated to get going and get started. And
well, it's wonderful to hear what you've been doing and how you're growing and how your business is emerging. I thank you so much for all that you've shared with us.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. All right.
I've
so,
just a few, excuse me. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Katie?
No more questions? No more questions?
No, there's just a
from
lot
the
of
audience.
appreciation for what you've shared and for the information. I think it's just really great. I had a lot of
Oh,
fun. I hope that everybody will help me spread the word and that you'll meet me back here again for our All About Alumni show. Our next one is on April 6th, and we have Lori Ellis. She's a graduate from Hawthorn's Master in Health and Nutrition Education program. And Lori's presentation is based on her Back in a Whack for Teens program. It's a nutrition and fitness program that helps teens adopt healthy habits and achieve a healthy weight. Where this program has gone will inspire us all. Please join me on Wednesday, April 6th at 12 noon. That's 3 p.m. Eastern. It's a great story, and I sure look forward to sharing it with all of us. Until then, I wish you all the best of health and hope you take good care.
thank you.
Thank you, Katie.